Hey everyone, I wanted to go over an example of where you would add or subtract a rational expression where you would have to factor out a negative from the denominator in order to make things work. So let me just jump right into the example and hopefully it will make things a little bit clearer. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the following. A all over a minus 7, and I'm going to be adding that to 7 over 7 minus a. So one of the first things that you want to note here is that this, the problem has deliberately shifted the orientation of the terms in your denominator. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite this so that the lead term will be a followed by the constant term. So all I'm doing in this case is I'm going to do a rewrite. Okay, so my problem is going to become a all over a minus 7 plus 7 over a negative a plus 7. So again, note here, the negative follows with the term a, and the 7 that I'm working with here is actually a positive 7. So I basically just swapped their positions. So now notice that these two denominators that I'm going to highlight in red, so the a minus 7 and the negative a plus 7, are almost identical. The only thing is that notice that the a has the opposite sign over on the second term, and so does the 7. And that's not a coincidence, and it's actually easily fixed. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, rewrite the problem. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have my a all over a minus 7 plus 7 over, I'm going to factor out a negative 1. And this is going to give me a positive a minus 7. Okay? So what to do with that negative? Okay? So let's just do a quick aside here. So I just want us to think on the side, and I'm going to scoot this over momentarily. I will bring it back. Recall that we had looked at the idea of a negative a over b, and we had said that, well, I could put the negative, write it so that it's a over a negative b, or I could write it as a negative a over b. That negative 1 that we're seeing there is it's able to float anywhere on that rational expression and still be legitimate and okay to use. So let's go back to our problem over here. Okay? And I'm going to scoot this up. So what I'm essentially saying is I can just float this negative 1 up to the denominator. So I'm going to do a final rewrite here and say, well, it's essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the expression that I'm seeing here and I'm rewriting it to look like this. So now I have a over a minus 7 plus, well, since I'm floating the negative up there, it becomes a negative 7, or negative 1 times 7 gives you the negative 7, all over a minus 7. Do we have identical denominators in each term? Hopefully you are nodding yes or vocally saying that. So now we are finally going to say, okay, I have a minus 7 on the bottom, and then I have an a plus a negative 7. Well, you know, this is kind of bad math grammar. You don't want to have two, like an addition and a subtraction sign right next to each other. So we're actually going to say that this is a minus 7 all over a minus 7. Oh, look, we should reduce this down as best we can. Well, you have a factor of a minus 7 in the denominator and in the numerator. These simplify, so your solution actually boils down to simply 1. I hope this was helpful. If you do have any questions, please feel free to message me or come see me in person.